nothing with any certainty, but the sight of the stars make me dream.
Hi, everybody. Today is another great show on the intellectuals. And we are privileged to have a great guy, a medical doctor from the US, Dr. Adetola. You are welcome, Dr. Adetola. How are you?
Um, Terrific. Terrific. Thanks, Dr. Charles.
That's
And
great.
it's a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. Thanks for this
That's great.
opportunity.
That's great. So, Tola, do tell us, more about you. Who is Dr. Tola? What do you do, and how did you get to where you are?
Yeah. Again, thanks for this opportunity, and I don't take this lightly at all. So, my name is Adetola, and I'm a medical doctor by training. I'm based in the United States, and I currently work in clinical research. I've worked in a couple of therapeutic areas, ranging from infectious disease to medical device, oncology, hemophilia studies. Currently, I'm working on doing clinical research on oncology trials, mainly CAR-T trials. So I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So I finished about 15 years ago from medical school. I practiced medicine, like clinical medicine, like for about 4 or 5 years back in Africa before I moved to the United States. And then I got into clinical research. And that's what I'm doing. And that's
Oh, wow.
in brief. Yeah.
You have such a great, professional background. And I must say this to you, it's a humble privilege to host you. You're a great guy, you know. Yeah, and my next question will be on the last job you just mentioned, which is your oncology trials.
Yep.
Would you just let us into that? What are the trials about? What are you trying? Do we have hope? For treatments of cancer and all of that.
Um, Definitely. So there's been a lot of advances in the field of oncology, so to speak, and mainly, especially with the advent of CAR-T, which is chimeric antigen T receptor, chimeric antigen receptor T cells, which is pretty
Yeah.
much technology whereby they take out the cancer patients' lymphocytes. So there are two types of lymphocytes. They have the B lymphocyte and the T lymphocyte.
Yeah.
So they take out the T lymphocyte and then they do some biogenetic manipulation using the CRISPR technology. Gene
Oh,
editing
wow.
technology utilizing CRISPR, the CRISPR technology, and then they input the chimeric receptors into that T lymphocytes, and then they
Wow.
infuse it back into the patient. So essentially, they are making the patient's T cells fight is our own cancer rather than
Wow.
extraneous substance, or like as opposed to chemotherapy, which was like the norm
Yeah. Yeah.
recently. So
Yeah.
even beyond that, they also have the allogenic CAR T, which is, so previously they would take out the patient's T cells, so the patient
Yeah.
will have a period whereby the patient will go through a period of lymphodepletion, and then that period where they're working on the patient's T cells, and then they'll give it back to the patient. A lot of patients tend to progress, and some even die. So technology has even advanced to the point where we now have off the shelf CAR T cells. So they actually
Wow.
take healthy donors, and then they input these chimeric antigens into their T cells. So these CAR T cells are ready off to go, ready to go off the shelf. So that's actually the studies that I'm currently working on. So and we've seen a lot of we're seeing
Yeah.
potentials, and it's looking, the
Wow.
outlook is looking very good, at least
Wow.
for those type of cancer that we're testing them in, and those are
Yeah.
non lymphomas, generally lymphomas, non-Hodgkin's
Okay.
lymphomas,
Mm.
follicular large B cell lymphoma, the follicular
Yeah.
cell, all those, and then adult T cell lymphoma as well.
Wow. Wow. And to everyone who is watching, wherever you're watching from, this is a message of hope from science to you. You know, science is evolving. What used to kill people 10, 20 years ago may not be able to kill people in the coming few months and years. And
Yeah,
with us here, we have a medical doctor and a specialist, a researcher, and someone that we can trust his words because he is right there in the field, you know. And Dr. Tola, I'm going to just go straight to the role you play in the Transhumancoin project, um, and how you got into transhumanism, you know.
okay.
What role do you play in the Transhumancoin project?
So thanks to the thanks to my the opportunity of meeting you in the first place, because if I didn't know you, if I wasn't following you, I probably wouldn't have heard about Transhumancoin, and wouldn't have even known anything called transhumanism. So I want to again give a shout out to you. You are like a how would I put it now? You're like a lighthouse, and you
Muhammad.
impress, you show the way to a lot of us. And I've been following you for at least 10 years now,
Wow,
consistently
10 years.
on Facebook. Yeah, and
Wow.
your page is one of the pages that I visit every time I come on Facebook. Like I always try to catch up every update that you give. So that fateful day, I saw your post on this transhuman coin, and I've always taken every post of yours serious, every advice, I always follow it.
Wow.
So as usual, I knew whatever you talked about, was something that you've really researched on and you are convinced
Yeah.
about. So I did my own research. I, read up, did a couple of readings on transhumanism, because at first the name transhumanism kind of threw me off, like transhuman, like what's that? So when I read more about it, and then I realized, oh, then this is a different kind of crypto project. I've been burnt by cryptocurrency, like in 2017. Me and a couple of guys here in the US, that was our first foray into crypto, and we lost a lot of money. That was like 2017 December. A couple of us, we lost like really huge amount of money. So I just ignored anything crypto. Like I don't even, some of those friends of mine, they kept on, but I just ignored. I didn't pay attention to crypto anymore because I thought I didn't know anything about it. So, but when you talked about Transhuman Coin, and I read about transhumanism and what transhumanism is all about, and this is utilizing, harnessing the power of the blockchain and cryptocurrency to to advance the cause of transhumanism, then I was convinced that this was something that would gain, wide acceptance in the long run. Because as people get to know more about transhumanism, and there is a coin or a crypto project that is dedicated to that cause, I think it was something that was worth going into. And I went in heavy because, yeah, I went in heavy. So that's how I got into Transhumancoin, and then Providence made it possible that I was connected to you on that platform.
Yeah. And when you say you went in heavy, and a lot of people are just out there, you're trying to know how heavy you went in, are you saying to us you hold over 100 million or 200 million? You don't have to mention a figure, but you can just give us an idea of how heavy you are. Because a lot of people don't know that Dr. Tola is one of the top investors, he's one of the top investors in Transhumancoin. So we want to know how heavy did you go on, the Transhumancoin project?
Well, I would say
Just
about
an idea.
yeah, in the range of the 100 millions.
100 millions.
Yeah.
Wow. you know, and look, Dr. Tola, your story is an inspiration. And I just hope someone who's watching out there, listens to this and gets inspired to become thoughtful, intentional, futuristic. The future is amazing. I always said this. The future is awesome.
Please.
If you picture it, then you will be able to feature in that future. You know, um, Dr. Tola, you represented the Transhuman Coin project in Transvision Madrid 2021. You flew all the way from your base in the US to Madrid to Spain and to represent the project. I just want to show us some pictures and some videos of Dr. Tola. Yeah, there it is. You know, you know. You seem to be the only African guy in these pictures, Tola.
As a matter of fact, I think I was the only African in the
Wow.
conference. Thinking about it now,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I don't
Wow.
remember anybody who was. Yeah, I
Wow.
stand to be corrected, but I think I was the only. Yeah.
Wow. And this goes a long way to show, how transhumanism hasn't fully been embraced in Africa, at least until the birth of the transhuman coin, because what we used to see before now was just the exclusion of Africans in such um, futuristic events,
Yeah.
and I think that is one of the success stories of the transhuman coin, that we've been able to place the continent, on the global map of the future, and tell us about this beautiful auditorium.
Wow, that's a breathtaking auditorium. That's the auditorium of the College of Medicine, the
Oh wow.
prestigious College of Medicine, Spanish College of Medicine, um, the Postgraduate College of Medicine auditorium. It's really a beautiful
Mm.
site, yeah, and that's where
And-
the conference took place.
wow. Wow. And you met a couple of people, I believe. You met Dr. David Wood.
Yep.
How was the meeting? I believe he's watching us right now.
So, it was. I think it's an honor and a privilege meeting him. This was at
Yeah.
the first event, the first even cocktail event.
Yeah.
He talked to me. He
Wow.
gave a speech on exoplanets, which was really really terrific. And again,
Yeah.
it's I think it's a very good. It's a mind-blowing experience for me. Meeting all these great futurists that
Yeah.
because after when I met, even before I went for the conference, I already read up on them, and these are people who are blazing the trail in the transhumanism arena, and the transhuman
Yeah.
who are further propagating this ideology globally.
Yeah.
So it's a really big honor to meet people like Dr. David Woods, Jose Cordero, Dr. Cordero, and a couple of other people like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Great. For those who didn't follow the Transvision conference event, I'm just going to play you the ad video of the event. It was explosive. We followed it online, and Transhumancoin was one of the sponsors of the event. Here it is.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I was dancing to that nice tune right there. So welcome back. Dr. Tola, tell us, how did this event impact your worldview? What changed in you after this great futuristic event? Please do tell us.
Yeah, thanks for that question. A lot changed, a lot.
Yeah. Can you just speak up a bit louder?
Can you, how's it now? Is it better?
Yeah, maybe just
Yes, a
a
lot
bit louder.
changed in my
Yeah.
worldview. Like, there was a lot that changed prior to going. Even though I'd done some reading
Yeah.
about the transhumanism ideology, the transhumanist ideology, and stuff like that. I still had few gray areas that wasn't very clear to me, in my mind before I went for the conference, which was one of the reasons why I actually went, apart from going like to also represent Transhumancoin. I also went for my own personal knowledge because I would say, as you know, I'm new into this movement. So, I have this religious, Christian religious background, which I also like to speak to, in the course of this show, as in terms of as it relates to transhumanism, because I've had a conversation with some of my friends, and it's interesting to know what they think about this field. So essentially, when I went for the conference, I was hopeful. I was more hopeful. I was more convinced that this is the future, and there is no um, either we like it or not. This is the future, and this is the future of humanity, transhumanism. And which is now in some quarters being called humanity plus. Just how, just the way cardiovascular diseases used to kill, back then, prior to like the 1960s, before they had the Framingham heart study. And then after the Framingham heart study, we saw a lot of knowledge that came out of that study, which led to almost halving the deaths in that as a result of cardiovascular diseases. So just how technology brought us to that point, that's essentially how advances in technology is exponentially increasing at that rate, such that at some point we will be functioning maximally as human, because the technology is advancing exponentially, and we can't shy away from it. It's just the reality, and artificial intelligence, which is also, one of the offshoots of transhumanism, is just like a tool. Like one of the speakers at the conference mentioned, it's like a tool, like a hammer. Just the way you would use a hammer to build a house, you can also use a hammer to break somebody's head. So it depends on how it's used, So it's a tool, and that was, that was a statement that was made by one of the conference speakers. I think it's the guy who spoke on robots and artificial intelligence. So and this is to my Christian, constituents. Transhumanism has nothing. It has nothing to do with anti-belief or anti-faith. I'm a Christian. Dr. Charles is a Christian, but being a believer in Christ or whatever faith that you profess has nothing to do with exploring the full possibilities and potentials of humanity. It has nothing to do with that. I believe it's two parallel tracks, so they don't cross each other. Let God's agenda run, thanks to whoever believes in that, which I'm one of those people that believe in that, and then pursue the full possibilities of advancement in as a human being with the knowledge that's available, So and this is all what transhumanism is all about. It's all about improving human capabilities, making humans function at the very optimal level, firing on all cylinders, so to speak, and also reversing aging, which has been scientifically proven. In fact, the advances in anti-aging is so mind-blowing, and these are real. As a matter of fact, there are trials, ongoing clinical trials going on, which we'll speak to in a little bit. So my worldview changed entirely, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who is a psychiatrist, and when I told him, he was like, "Oh, you're becoming an atheist." I said, "No. It has nothing to do with being an atheist." So we had this conversation yesterday. He's probably watching this show right now, And then I told God's agenda, or whatever faith you profess, the agenda of your faith or the belief of your faith runs parallel to transhumanism cause. Now, there might be transhumanists who don't believe in the existence of a higher being or a creator. Just the way there are people in every field of human endeavor, both in medicine, in science, in politics, who also doesn't believe in God. So the fact that there are people, the fact that there are transhumanists who probably don't believe in God doesn't rubbish the transhumanist agenda and say it's anti-God. No, it's not. It's all about fulfilling the very best of human capabilities. Period.
That's it. I'm gonna just drive your points home with a video of Peter Zink, who's who's our co-founder of the project, where he explains the concept or ideology of transhumanism. Stick to it, here it is.
So transhumanism, it's a global movement of people that want to transcend the limitations of our human biology with science and technology. Essentially, it's broken down to three core pillars around how do we want to live longer and healthier, be more intelligent, and more well as human beings. Today, it's all about new ideas, sparking out what it is that's out there. Changes to our assumptions will change our business models in the future. So transhumanism, as a global movement, it actually transcends the next 10 years of people living longer. Because at the end of the day, if you think about what we do in our personal and professional lives, if this gives us an advantage over what we do every single day, this is actually making us transhuman as part of the well-being factor.
Welcome back. So that was Peter, driving home the points that Adetola has just made right now. Transhumanism is the ideology that humans can transcend all, like literally all of our human, limitations. We can be anything that we want to be. We can achieve anything we want to achieve. We can cure all kinds of diseases, and we can end even death. Yes, we can. And this has nothing to do with religious beliefs, like Dr. Adetola just said, or cultural or traditional superstitious beliefs. It's got not. It's pure science. These are facts, which has been experimented on, before they became a research project that scientists around the world are working on. And that leads us to a video on Transhumancoin. I'm gonna just play it, and then I would come back to talk about this great project. Please stay tuned. Great. So, Dr. Adetola, you are a member of the Scientific Advisory Board of the Transhumancoin project. Tell us, what role do you think the Transhumancoin project will play in the future of medicine, of cryonic preservation, and the future of humanity? What role, do you see Transhumancoin playing in the future of humanity?
Thanks. I think we have a lot of potential and a lot of ways where this project comes in, which is why I am a believer in the project. And also, with the kind of caliber of people, who makes up the dev team as well as the scientific advisory board, just the SAB. So basically, I believe because we will be funding research in anti-aging, combining artificial intelligence with biotechnology, and funding and also sponsoring research in those areas. So by funding research in those areas of medicine which are critical to human longevity, also I think that's something that is central to the total well-being that we all seek, by funding and identifying what it causes, researches that are ongoing, and also we also Transhumancoin as a project is also in the process of developing like a decentralized laboratory, where we will be enabling combining extensive biotechnology with artificial intelligence research network in the in the metaverse. So doing that, we're doing that with data-driven medical diagnosis, which will lead to being able to diagnose patients more accurately in the very near term. And also, I think mainly the fact that we will be looking out for ongoing research, which is in this field of longevity, improving lifespan, cybernetics, kind of what do you call it? Prosthetics, stuff like that. So funding such research makes us a worthy cause to be identified with, which is why I'm a believer in the project.
Yeah. Wow. And these are projects, the scientific roadmap of the Transhumancoin project. It's bigger than just the trading and the charts, the price going up and down. I've always maintained that the Transhumancoin is beyond crypto. It's trans-crypto. It's trans-crypto. The word trans there means beyond. So it's transhuman, which is beyond human. It's transcrypto, which is beyond crypto. So if you are a holder of the transhuman coin, consider yourself that you are holding on to a regen, which in the nearest future, would contribute immensely and massively to the human evolution and the greater good of humanity. Back to you, Dr. Tola. You are filled with knowledge in the medical field, so I'm gonna ask you some really medical questions, and it has to do with the future of medicine. Where do you see medicine and medical science in the next 10 years? What kind of medical procedures, what kind of treatments do you think would have, and with reference to what we see today, which is the regenerative medicine, where we see the stem cell transplant procedures becoming more popular, what other areas do you think will make medical science more interesting and more helpful to humanity?
Like you mentioned already, we have advances in genomic modifications, gene editing technologies, which are already in the mainstream, at least in the developed part of the world. So I believe that beyond this genetic gene technology, I think the future is nanomedicine. Which is also one of the offshoots of the transhumanism ideology.
Yeah.
And I learned more about this at the conference, and
Wow.
credit to Natasha Vitamo, who gave a talk on this on the future of medicine, so to speak. And she made a lot of references to the work of Robert Freitas. I think he's based in Canada. He is one of the leading figures in nanomedicine. I think that's the future of medicine, which is going to improve on genetic genomic sequencing and gene editing. So beyond that, we're looking at nanomedicine. What's nanomedicine? This is utilizing nanotechnology, combining that with biotechnology, with nanotechnology and biomedical science to combat diseases. As a matter of fact, identify diseases, cancers, before your body even knows that something is brewing up in your system. So utilizing nanotechnology in that aspect, that's what nanomedicine is all about. And I think that's the future. It's going to get to a point where we would have, nanomedicine will get to a point where we might have like little, and again, just for our audience, nanotechnology is the engineering of matter. What's matter? Anything that has weight and occupies space. But in this case, we're talking about nanoparticles, which is from any size from 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers. So just to give a visual and idea of what a nanoparticle is, in one strand of hair, you can fit in 80,000 nanometer of matter in one strand of hair. So that's how really tiny those nanoparticles are. So now imagine medicine utilizing those, and deploying that into the human body to perform. And already we have some utilization of nanomedicine, like the smart pill, which we have a smart pill that is accredited by FDA, used in schizophrenic patients, that can help them to ensure compliance to their medication. So they use the pill, and then they also put a patch on their skin, and that pill would send like signals through that patch on their skin that would let the doctor, let them know when they took the pill. And then the pill will also, work at the cellular level, directly at the cellular level. So that's happening. We are already utilizing the pill camera, which has been used in over 8,000 procedures. So that is already happening as well.
Wow.
So that's the future. Nanomedicine is the future, and it's a lot that it can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Natasha said at the conference, you can imagine deploying those kind of nanoparticles into our body, whereby they can walk in team or walk, in swarms, going to all part of your body to identify. Or maybe, let's say, your body's already brewing up like a basal cell carcinoma, a
Yeah.
precancerous lesion already developing before your brain or your body senses that, oh, there's this thing that I'm feeling. Before you even sense it, the nanoparticles already take care of it, and they continue to they work 24/7, because we are a very complex being, so
Yeah.
that's pretty much what the future is. They will go in and kill all these cancer cells even before your body knows that something is even growing in your body.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And that brings us to a very important question, with all of this going on, I mean, the research and new information coming up and the integration of artificial intelligence with biotechnology, to help big farm to better serve humanity. With all of this going on, you know, do you think we can achieve immortality, or at least extend human life to some reasonable
Yeah,
extent?
I personally want to shy away from the word immortality because that can
Yeah,
scare people away. And
yeah,
also, I would like to give credit to Max Moore, who is one of, I
yeah,
think, the founder of our core
yeah,
life extension services in Arizona. He gave
yeah,
a talk on longevity as well
yeah,
at the Transvision, and it's more of making a case and an argument for longevity.
yeah,
And when, like Mark said, not
yeah,
being threatened by this, oh, we're all gonna die, and you don't know when you're
yeah,
gonna die, and
yeah,
people are afraid to die, so to speak, but you don't want that uncertainty hanging on your head. As they say, we all in
yeah,
local partners, that we all hold the depth of death. So why why should that hang over everybody's head? Why should that be the destiny of everybody? You know, but when you're able to take that away in terms of reversing aging, and you have enough time to fulfill all your dreams, and when you think you are done, you think you fulfilled everything, you can check out. It's optional, and that's where the future is going, like it or not. You know,
yeah,
when this anti-aging, advances are in the mainstream, people will live
yeah,
long, and not just living long as in and you're debilitated, no, but you will
yeah,
actually still be functioning as if you are in your prime, you are in your younger years. Uh, so to your question, this is it's a fact, it's a proven fact, and
yeah,
that is where we're going. That is
yeah,
that's the future of humanity.
yeah,
People will be able
yeah.
to live as long as they want.
That's it.
Apart from accidents, maybe accidents,
Yeah,
emergency, or things that are beyond. And even for that, there's cryonics, cryopreservation. You
yeah,
can sign up for
yeah,
that. So in the case of an accident where
yeah,
plane crash or something, or auto accident, and you already signed up for cryopreservation, the team
yeah,
comes in and they preserve your you go through vitrification, and then they preserve you to a point
yeah,
whereby and in addition to that, we also have the full body prosthetics that Natasha spoke about at the conference.
yeah,
So even if you lost, maybe due to the accident, you
yeah,
lost bodily, limbs and stuff, we have
yeah,
full body prosthetics that you can use, but at least your mental state can be,
yeah,
your mind, your brain, and all the data in
yeah,
your brain can be preserved,
yeah,
in the
yeah,
state of cryonics, through cryonics or cryonic
yeah,
preservation. And then
yeah,
to a later time in future, where they believe that advances will have exponentially grown to a point where they can bring you back to life, and then
mm,
if you don't have limbs at that time, you can get cybernetic limbs, or you can
Exactly.
get body prosthetics, and you go back to who you were because your mind was preserved. Everything was preserved, and these are facts. Cryonics is also a known fact. I think there are over at least 100 people who are already cryopreserved
Preserved.
as we speak, and
Yeah.
over 1,800 people that have signed up for it. So, the future is mind blowing. It's mind blowing. You can live as long as you want. If accident happens and you already signed up for cryopreservation, you can be restored back to life at a future time. And they're even postulating that maybe by 2045, 2050, they'll be able to bring people back to life. And that has been proven. Natasha did an experiment, and she wrote a paper to that effect, where she was even though those are simple organisms, they were brought back to life, and when they were brought back to life through cryonic preservation, the long-term memory was preserved that they had prior to undergoing cryopreservation.
Yeah. And this is a straight question to you, Tola. Tell us, would you consider cryopreservation? Would you want to sign up for ALCO's cryopreservation services?
Yes, it's something that I'm already looking into. Why not?
Great.
Why would I want to be here? When technology can.
That's it.
Read up on it, and as soon as I afford it, I'm definitely going to sign up for it. I'm signed up for it. It's something that I would love to I would love to sign up for, and I'm already looking into that aspect.
Yeah. So we've got someone here, who is just saying, guys, you guys are crazy. How would you just, sign up for such a thing, and Tola, I wanted to just say something to that person,
So think about it this way. Death is a state of non-existence, right? So there's really nothing to fear in death because you just stop existing. Now, we're not talking about fate now because that's beyond the scope of this conversation. But limiting to science, so what's wrong in signing up if you can afford it for cryopreservation, whereby or even if you don't sign up, you are non-existent. So you don't lose anything.
You're not losing nothing.
If there is a science, a technology that can preserve your vital organs, your brain, and your cognitive abilities and stuff like that, it can be preserved and be revived. Your memory can be preserved. Why not? If you can afford it,
why not?
It has nothing to do with playing God. God. I'm a believer of God, so I might be speaking. God knowledge comes from Him. He created us, and He gave us the ability to think. He created us, put a brain in our skull, and we just need to explore the depth of the possibilities of our potentials. And one of those is this innovation called cryonic preservation. So I would definitely sign up for it as soon as I can afford it. Why do I just want to waste my corpse and just vanish into non-existence when I can come back to life when technology gets to that point where they can bring me back to life? And again, it has been proven. Simple organisms have been brought back to life. It's a fact. And Natasha did a research on that. She did an experiment on that. She wrote a paper on that. So I know human beings are more complex, but at least the fact has been proven. And technology, again, is exponentially increasing.
That's right.
So we will get there. So watch out for 2045, as they say.
2045 is the year to watch. We're going to go on a short break. When we come back here, we are still going to be talking about cryopreservation and cryonics. But until then, please do stay tuned and share this video. Let your friends know we're talking some real life issues here. It's about life and death, that kind of a talk. Stay tuned.
You are welcome, oh dear great minds. You are welcome to the intellectuals. You are welcome to learn and unlearn. Think what thinkers with Charles Awuzie.
welcome back again, and we are still on cryonics and cryopreservation. And I'm going to say this publicly. I've made contacts with alcohol, and hopefully I'm going to be signing up. The deal I'm trying to broker with cryonic and cryopreservation service providers is to enable people to, holders of Transhumancoin to sign up for cryopreservation with Transhumancoin. I mean, that was going to be great. So yeah, if you hold at least 500,000, a million Transhumancoin, and upwards, and our charts are looking greener than before. In the next few years, I think holders of Transhumancoin should be able to, make life and death or health and illness decisions, which would be independent of any financial limitations. That's what we're trying to achieve with the Transhumancoin, to reach out to the longevity and anti-aging industry, and propose that our holders or people pay for their services, for health related services or life or longevity related services, the Transhumancoin. And in the coming few weeks or months, I believe we're going to have a more positive announcement to make, on this idea, And back to you, Dr. Tola, on cryonics. It's important because we both are Africans, and these are really, really rare ideologies. These are things they don't talk about in Africa. Our traditional and cultural mindset about the dead body, the corpse. When I was very sick a few weeks ago, and I publicly stated that if I die right here in South Africa, I must be buried in South Africa, and I shouldn't be taken back to my country of origin. I've lived there for many years. I have a family that I love so much, in this country, and I mean, why go through the stress of trying to send my body back home when the family I have lives here, But that shows us how Africans attach so much importance to corpse, of a relative, to the corpse of a relative. So two Black people coming on a live broadcast, to say that they are making decisions to sign up for cryonics, trust me, is revolutionary. It's controversial, So I'm going to come back to you, Dr. Tola. How do you connect? How do you relate with your social environment, with your friends, with this new way of thinking and way of seeing, life? How do you relate?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Charles. You the points you raise are very salient, and I see it as it's like lights. The lights illuminates, and it would permeate the darkness at some point.
Yeah.
Even some of if there are a lot of technologies that Africans wouldn't have accepted in the past, but which they're utilizing now. So I believe it's a matter of time. And also some of us who have this understanding, we hold it to educate our circle, our families, I was telling my mom is a deeply Christian mother. I was telling her about this, and she thought I was crazy. That was the very first time I told her about wellness. And I told her that I would like to sign her up. So, she thought I was going crazy. But again, that was her initial reaction. But I'm not stopping there. I will continue to encourage, to educate my family, my friends. Like I was speaking with my psychiatrist friend yesterday. And his initial thought was, anti-God, atheism and everything, be careful, tread carefully. But after our conversation, he saw the point I was making, that this has nothing to do with your believing in God or faith. It's two parallel
That's it.
tracks. Explore the full potential of your humanity, as well as continue believing in your faith. You know, so
That's it.
it's nothing. You know, and so I think we hold our generation, you know, of Africans, fellow Africans, to educate them, and that's why I really want to thank you, Dr. Charles, for your platform. I was telling my younger brother, who is also a holder of the Transhumancoin, you know, that thanks to you, you know, you are like a, you know, you are again a lighthouse, and a lot of people who are on board the Transhumancoin was courtesy of you. I think maybe 70% of Africans who are, you know, who believes in that project, and now by extension they know about transhumanism, and through this show, through this program that we are having, they can go do further research, further study, and they realize that, oh, this is something we should embrace. You know, why should I, if you can afford cryonics, why should I waste my body, especially if I'm still full-bodied? Why should I waste it and just decay in the soil and not preserve yourself? After all, even if you let them bury you, you're still non-existent. So you have nothing to lose if you can afford it. You have absolutely nothing to lose, you know. So there's nothing like playing God in this. It's a technology that you should consider taking advantage of if you can afford it. And it's going to become more affordable as time goes on, because this is the future.
That's true.
You know, once upon a time, I remember when cell phone came to Nigeria for the first time, it was only the super rich that could afford it. Now everybody can afford the cell phone. So that's how some of this technology we're talking about is going to become mainstream and very affordable. So the earlier the better. I encourage, you know, our fellow Africans to have a change of, you know, of attitude towards this kind of advances in technology. And I think we also that are already in the light, we should keep propagating that that knowledge, and, you know, spreading the knowledge amongst our circle and beyond our circle.
Yeah. Look, Dr. Tola, you know, the truth is, it is not easy, you know, because at some point people will think you're going crazy. You know, at the other point, they will think you're becoming just anti God and anti faith and anti this or anti tradition, you know. But no, you're just finding your truth. I want to say this to someone tonight. You know, it's a personal journey where you find yourself, you discover who you are. You know, that you are a conscious being with the ability to think, create, develop, and solve problems. And you see why I think it's fun is because, you know, the more problems you solve, the more you realize you can solve all kinds of problems. In fact, what attracted me to transhumanism is the fact that it challenged me to solve problems, you know. And I'm attracted, I said this always, I'm attracted to problems. When I got sick, I took it as a challenge. It was fun to me. And I told my doctors and everyone that, look, I'm going to deal with this, and I'm going to, you know, solve this problem, this health problem. And to be honest with you, I mean, look at me today. You know, I am on the road to getting, you know, not just a temporary management, you know, thing, but I'm on my way to finding a real permanent solution to my health problems, you know. And I'm considering, and I'm saying that publicly for the first time, I'm considering, you know, that before I have my next child, you know, I'm considering a designer child. Yeah, I design his genes, you know, and remove the genes that I don't want, because there are genes that we all inherited from our parents, and nobody has ever sat down to think, why do we have to keep transferring these, you know, bad genes to the next generation? And that's why diseases and death continue to happen, you know. But we are in the generation of light, the generation of illumination, the generation of, you know, science and technological advancements, and we are going to take advantage of all of this to, you know, have the greatest life experience that we can achieve on earth. And I'm telling you the truth. If you even go and read, for those of us who are religious, go back and read your Bible. I always say that, go back and read your Bible. You're going to discover that all the people that you read in the Bible lived over 400 years. In fact, one of the biggest foundations, organizations in transhumanism is named after a Bible character, Methuselah. The organization is called Methuselah Foundation. It's one of the biggest organizations in the transhumanism community who are focused on longevity. And that just gives you an idea of the level of consciousness of transhumanists. They do understand that longevity is achievable because we've read of stories, we've watched movies. There are many transhumanists who are influenced by sci-fi movies, and there are many transhumanists who are also influenced by religious books that they've read, like the Bible, that showed some level of longevity, with regards to the characters, where you see someone like Methuselah living very long life. And why can't we live that kind of life? Why do we limit, ourselves by a religion that has actually shown us that we can live longer? So that's a missing link in our generation, and that's what we're trying to solve. So having you today, Dr. Tola, trust me, this has been quite inspiring to me personally and to everyone who's watching. And if you are just trading the Transhumancoin, that's deeply understanding, the future of this project is massive. We are coming literally for everything. We are intentional, we are driven, and we are having fun doing it. It's daring, it's a challenge to solve problems. And to you, Tola, I just want to ask about your childhood, because most transhumanists growing up, right, they had a crazy childhood. They were just some crazy guys who thought always differently, behaved differently. And the truth is, a lot of them are actually, people with very high intelligence, intelligent quotient. So I want to ask you about your childhood. How did you grow up? Were you always just this guy who was a bit off? And what kind of experiences did you have growing up? How would you relate it to your current state of mind?
First off, I think I just had a normal, childhood as any average African child would have. I'm from a very humble background, but I think apart from having the normal, regular type of childhood that any young or any African kid would have, from a moderately comfortable family. Apart from that, I think something that jumps out to me is that I've always tend to like stand aloof and don't really follow. I tend to take a critical look at things, and initially I'm a bit maybe scared to talk about how I have a different opinion from what everybody has, but I still hold on to my opinion. I tend to like have a different view from the head or from what most people, believe. And like, for instance, just to use an example, this issue of Titan, I've always had an issue about this Titan when way back, as far back as I would say while I was in medical school, but I can't say it out. I was never able to say it out. The same thing for political ideologies. I don't usually follow what the crowd is saying or what majority people are saying. I tend to be different, and like I said, initially I won't be able to express it because I'm feeling people will condemn me, they will think I'm crazy. So eventually when this whole Titan thing became mainstream, and like I have been thinking of these, even when I went to Bible school. By the way, I went to Bible school while I was in Ghana, because I spent 4 years in Ghana. I practiced in Ghana for like 3 years. And while I was there, I went to Bible school. In the Bible school, I had a contrary opinion, but I couldn't even say it out. I couldn't say it out, but I just kept it in my mind. So eventually, when somebody in Nigeria led the move out. Like, this is something that I've always thought about. I'm not
Yeah.
anti-giving. I believe in giving. So just to answer your question, that's I notice I tend to have. So again, that's why it's easier for me to embrace this transhumanism ideology when I learned about it from from your page, and I just went all in. In fact, I've ordered like a couple of books, David Sinclair book, the Transhumanism Handbook, to really do a lot of study, in it. So I think you're right that if you look back, maybe people who easily embrace this thing might have this kind of attributes. Just like I said, I tend to like hold a different view from what majority hold and what majority believes in, and so maybe that plays into why it's kind of easy for me, or make me one of those people who those Africans who easily embrace this field or this ideology.
Yeah. Wow, it's been an amazing 1 hour of a deep conversation with a member of Transhumancoin Scientific Advisory Board, Dr. Tola from the US. I think we're going to have you back here, but there are questions here, and I'm just going to take one question, and then we'll end the session. This is from Lindy. She says, "Thank you, Dr. Charles and Dr. Tola, for such an insightful awareness of transhumanism and Transhumancoin. What are your experiences or knowledge of transhumanism in Africa? Does this movement has any role to play in undersourced communities?" Adetola?
The first part of the question, what's my experience or knowledge of transhumanism in Africa? I think it's still very rudimentary. And again, credit to Dr. Charles, who is illuminating the African continent with this ideology through his platform, which is where I learned about it. So I think, and I also give an example of my psychiatrist friend, who is a well-known psychiatrist in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, is always on TV, well celebrated, very cerebral guy. But he didn't even know much about this ideology until we talked yesterday. So I think it's still a very, very, rudimentary or not popular ideology in Africa. And those of us who are privileged to be one of the early, believers as Africans, we have a responsibility to propagate it, again, beyond our circle. So that's what my experience is. And then, does this movement has any role to play in under-resourced community? Eventually, it's, again, think about it this way. Transhumanism is about expanding and fulfilling human abilities. So even those places that we call under-resourced, at some point, technology would advance to such a point whereby as somebody said at the conference, poverty, it's going to get to a point that it's going to be a choice. Poverty will be a choice, So technology would illuminate everywhere so much that it will be difficult to tag any area as under-resourced, except they choose to remain in that state. And we have some, we have some group of people, who are anti-technology, like the Hamish people, who just don't want to have anything to do with technology, But beyond such self-imposed personal choice, I think transhumanism will illuminate everywhere, and all humans will be able to function at their, capabilities. I want to talk about one of the good examples that Natasha referenced. Do you know there are prosthetic limbs, which they call the cybernetic limbs, or all those that can feel temperature of the water, if it's warm or cold. They're not just dumb prostheses that you just wear, and they can. It's synchronized with your nervous system, and you can actually feel pain, feel touch. It's advanced to that level, So why would anybody embrace this?
Wow. Why won't anybody embrace this? And that's been a question, and that's going to be where we leave you tonight with. The question we leave you tonight with: why wouldn't anyone embrace this? Our next show, Dr. Tola, we are going to have you. I think we're going to look for answers to that question. But until then, we want to thank everyone who participated in tonight's show. And thank you for believing in the Transhumancoin project. Look, we're going somewhere. We're gonna fulfill all the promises we've made, to our holders. We're gonna fulfill all the promises we've made. We're kicking poverty out. We're literally making it optional. We're making death optional. We're making a lot of things optional. And already the truth is this. The blockchain and the cryptocurrency has actually made poverty optional. The decentralized finance industry is massive and is minting millionaires, every day. It's minting Forbes recognized millionaires every day. And if you're new to all of this, we welcome you to our group, the Transhumancoin Telegram group. We will educate you further and we'll help you, to become relevant and significant in the future. To you, Dr. Tola, we're just going to have your last words to us. What would be your last words to our viewers?
My last word is nothing but to say transhumanism, humanity plus, nanomedicine, age reversal technology is the future. And this, either you like it or you don't like it, that is the future. So why don't you enjoy the benefits of these advances in technology by embracing the ideology?
Wow. That's the future, and the same way people thought that those who once said that they're going to fly in planes, we are crazy. That's the same way that people are thinking that those who say they're going to combine artificial intelligence with biotechnology to solve diseases and even death, that they are crazy. But until we meet next time.
One thing right quick, Doctor, before we
go ahead.
Just 9 years ago, there was no proven method to extend life or to reverse aging. As we speak, which I learned from the conference, I think from William Fallon's presentation. As we speak right now, just 9 years ago, we have over 9 types of intervention proven that reverses aging. Facts, experimentally proven. And it's being run in clinical trials as we speak. Just 9 years ago. 9 years ago, there was 0. 9 years later, we have over 9 medical interventions that can reverse aging. And they are
massive.
Ongoing. And that's an
exponential. Massive.
Yeah. So, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, if just 9 years ago, we already have 9 medical interventions that can, or that will reverse aging, imagine what the next 9 years will look like. Imagine what the next 18 years will look like, And once again, Dr. Tola, thank you so much for coming on to today's show. And to everyone who participated, we say thank you for believing in the Intellectuals platform. Until we meet next time, I remain your humble host, Charles Awuzie. Have a great day.
Thank you.